It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Coming to you live from the Billy C studio. I'm Bill College. Good day, whenever you're listening. I hope you're doing okay today. Today's show is being brought to you in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant, located on beautiful St. Simons Island in Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I go all the way to St. Simons to get an authentic Italian meal. Today's show is also being brought to you in part by our free app. That's right. You want to watch the show? You want to listen to the show on your phone, on your handheld, no matter where you go? Take us with you. And if you're a female, take us in the shower with you. Yeah. Don't electrocute yourself. But hey, just download the app. It's real easy. Just visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com. And guess what? Click on the banner that says download the app. It's that simple. And don't forget, Fight TV is your place to watch fights that you can't get on your regular television provider. We have a nice embedded player right on the front page of Billy C Boxing. Don't forget to stop there when you want to watch your next fight. And finally, today's show being brought to us in part by my book. Tom Molyneux, From Bondage to Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold. You can get a copy while you're watching or listening to the show right now. I'm talking right now. Right now, that's what I mean. You can get it right now by visiting barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com. Want a signed copy for the holidays? Hey, we love to give signed copies for the holidays. Just visit our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and click on, the book. You can't miss it. Jeremy's got it all over the page, so check that out. All right, today's show. What we got going on is we got our blast from the past. A requested blast from the past. Former multi-division world champion Tony the Tiger Lopez. Alex Pierpaoli will be on a little bit later to tell us about Tony the Tiger Lopez. Also, Boxing Hall of Famer Larry Hazzard will stop by and talk some boxing with us. Last night was the comeback of Devon Alexander. I'll give you the results on that. And another thing I got going on is, listen, we've been talking a lot about Anthony Joshua. There's no question about it. I mean, I can't remember when I personally and most people I talk to were as excited or are as excited about boxing and the heavyweight division as I am right now. And most of it is due because of Anthony Joshua. And we also have a couple of potential dance partners with Anthony Joshua to keep the heavyweight division going strong. One, obviously, is Deontay Wilder, undefeated heavyweight, 39-0 with 38 knockouts. Everybody wants to see that. But the other guy in the mix, the other guy that's holding a belt, is Joseph Parker. And Joseph Parker seems to be missing the whole point. Joining me right now, from St. Simons, chipper and as cheery as ever, is my man, Sal Rocky Cenicola. Good morning, Sal.
Hey, good morning, Billy C. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing okay. You know what I was thinking about all night? You know what I thought?
What were you thinking about all night?
Breakfast pizzas. That's what I was thinking about all night. You're killing me. I'm telling you right now, next time I come down there, if you don't make me a breakfast pizza at Sal's, that's it. You're dead to me. That's the way it's going to be, because you had me thinking. I'm going, should I try it? Nah, I better wait to see Sal do it before I try it. But man, that sounded good last night when you were talking about that.
I promise you, you're gonna love it. It's gonna be a nice pizza. It's unbelievable, and you're gonna be thinking about it, buddy. I'll tell you. I talked about that. I don't know why I chimed in. We had a lot of great people, great guests, great friends coming in last night. Every night at Sal's is an experience. I'll tell you. You never know what's going to happen. I made last night announcement. I go, hey guys, I think we're going to try a turkey pizza. What do you think about that? I'll get turkey meat, put it on top of the cheese, and I'll put some cranberries on the side of there too. So we have a good time though. And I talked to Tim from the Sea Palms. He's all excited. I told him what we're thinking about for possibly January, and he's all in line with that.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, like I told you last night, for some reason that turkey pizza just doesn't. But then again, I'm one of these guys that, I'm not a big fan of chicken on pizza. And a lot of people like that. Like spicy chicken. What do they call it? What do they call that?
Oh, buffalo chicken.
Yeah, buffalo chicken pizza. I'm not a big fan of that. But
I'm not a big fan of. That's it. I'm not that big of a fan of the buffalo stuff. Buffalo chicken this, buffalo chicken that. I'm also not a big fan of smoked stuff, smoked turkey, this and that. I like the real grill taste or whatever it might be. But I'm not the same.
I'm the same as you. I like buffalo chicken, but just not on a pizza. But I don't like anything smoked. Like I don't like smoked cheese. Anytime I go to a restaurant and they say, "Oh, topped with smoked whatever," I'm like, I don't want it.
Smoked brie or something. Forget about it. My Italian internals don't really appreciate it.
No, I smoked mozzarella. Not the same to me. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you about. We've been talking a lot about Anthony Joshua and the potential partners. Obviously, we all want to see him fight Deontay Wilder. And there's another name. To just round off all the top belts, I think that Team Parker is missing the point here. Parker's team, and how they offer this and that. Got to do this if they want us, and the bottom line is, Anthony Joshua's in the driver's seat here. What Dax was drinking before the show. Reached out to Team Anthony because they don't bring anything to many people think. The Errol Spence defeated out of us, including both you, and a very hot broadcast on Sean Lamont, who's a very underrated in my opinion. He's a lot better than people give him credit for. For some reason, people have turned against him. But here's my thing. The question: we all know that we love Errol Spence. We all see that he possesses the talent. But you know what he needs to prove, Sal? He needs to prove that he's a draw. Tickets went on sale for the Barclays Center yesterday, and it's going to be interesting to see how many people will buy tickets to see this guy live. Spence-Peterson has a weird following. People don't really think much of him. And Errol Spence, I'm wondering how many casual boxing fans know who he is and how he's going to do with tickets. What's your thoughts on this?
I think you're right. The casual boxing fan or fans do not really know Errol Spence. He's not had the chance to be showcased or up close and personal as we would like to see. But I will tell you this, Errol Spence's talents and fists do the talking in the ring, and I think he's got the ability and talents we haven't seen thus far. And I'm very high on Errol Spence, and I think he could be very, very dominant in the welterweight division. And I think he could dance with any one of the top champs of the welterweight division and look good, draw good. But I think his marketing, his camp, his notoriety, I think they got to push that. And I think they got to let the map and let the world know who Errol Spence is. And I don't know how they get that word out, but I'll tell you, this guy deserves it. And I think he needs some campaign to try and get his name and recognition out there so he can draw a good gate. I'm interested to see what he can do this without any campaign or thus far, what his drawing power is. Because I don't think it's all that much. But I think he's got himself positioned. Then if he can get the people behind him to make him a household name, then I hope and I wish him the best, because I like to see this guy really flourish and do very well.
You know, the thing is that you talk to a diehard boxing fan, or at least one that's following the sport on a regular basis, and of course they know who Errol Spence Jr. is. But, you know, for fight fans that wait for the big fight, maybe buy a ticket if they live in the New York City area and they want to go to a live event, because like we say all the time, there's nothing better than a live boxing event. You know, it's going to be, I agree, it's going to be interesting to see how he draws. You know, most of the time, you know, the fighters that draw, especially in New York or any other place, you know, have a name, have a following. You know, they're local to a degree. He's not any of that going into Barclays, so it's going to be interesting to see. He did have a quote yesterday. He said, "My goal is to unify the welterweight division in 2018, but this fight is a true test, and Lamont Peterson is a veteran that I definitely won't overlook. I've sparred him in the amateurs, and I know what he brings to the table. I have to get through him to achieve my goals, and that is what I plan on doing on January 20th. Lamont Peterson says, I'm happy to be getting back in the ring. I've stayed in the gym, and I'm ready to go. This is a fight I've wanted, and I said before, when I became a welterweight, I want to fight the best and make the fights that people want to see. I'm ready to give it my all and give the fans a great show." You know, Lamont Peterson is better than that quote. It already seems like that quote is, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try my hardest. You know, you know how I feel about that, Sal. I mean, boxing is 90% mental, and Lamont Peterson's a quality fighter. You know, he should be going in there saying that he's going to win. But listen, they both have something to prove. What's your quick thoughts?
I think you're right, and I think Lamont Peterson, maybe he's taking a quiet, humble approach, and doesn't want to rat off too much of his mouth and upset Errol Spence. And I think, if he's capable, I think in his heart of hearts, anybody's got to step in the ring on that level and feel that they're capable of beating their opponent. And, the reality sets in once those rounds tick by and you find yourself on one way of the scale or the other. But the bottom line is I'm sure his confidence and his level of commitment is higher than where his statements may be. And for whatever reason, he's being humble and dry about it right now. But hopefully in the ring, we're going to see a tiger come out of the tank. I don't know if that was a good analogy, but I'm high on Errol Spence. I don't think there's many welterweights that could beat Errol Spence today.
Yeah, not and obviously the fight in that division everybody wants to see is Errol Spence against Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman seems to be not wanting any piece of Errol Spence. It's funny, when Errol Spence and Keith Thurman are on the same broadcast where they're both guests and they're sitting at a table together. Keith Thurman seems very uneasy with Errol Spence, and Errol Spence seems to pick it up and is very calm, cool, and collective. That is a fight I'd like to see, but with all due respect to Errol Spence, Keith Thurman has a much more solid resume as a pro than Errol Spence. Errol Spence does have a lot to prove at this point, and I think the fight with Lamont Peterson will show us exactly where he fits, in my opinion. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%, Billy C. I'm telling you right now, you couldn't have said it better. Keith Thurman is the king of the welterweights right now in a lot of people's minds, and I think he deservingly so. I mean, he takes on all comers. He's a gamer. He fights hard. He has a heart, and I think Keith Thurman is one of the top out there. I think Errol Spence, though, is going to be staged for 2018. And leverage that we're going to get a real good glimpse of the true champion that Errol Spence could be, is, and should be. Because I think he's got a lot of talent that we've not. Spence, and you know what? If I was Errol Spence, I'd want to unify, and I want to get in the ring with Keith Thurman. And I think Errol Spence would like that fight more than Keith Thurman does.
We're going to take a short break. Sal's going to be kicked to the curb for a little bit. We are going to be we're scheduled to have Larry Hazzard come on. So Sal, hang tight. We do have some emails that I wanted to read. We will get to them today. So if you have an email that you sent, and I just want you to know that we read all that we don't get to today on the next show, which is on Monday. We are off tomorrow for Thanksgiving and on Friday. So FYI, if you took the time to email us, we will do that. Sal, we'll talk to you later. I'm going to take a short break. When we come back, we're scheduled to have Larry Hazzard join us, so don't go nowhere.
Billy C will be right back.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
This is important news for people who had a hip replacement and then had to have additional surgery as the result of a faulty hip implant or were diagnosed with high levels of metal in the blood, known as metallosis. You may have a right to a cash award and medical expenses. If you have been diagnosed with high levels of metal in your blood or have required more surgery because of hip implant failure, call the law offices of Davis & Crump right now. Our first consultation is free and we don't get paid unless you get paid. Call now. Operators are standing by.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell them Billy C sent ya.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C Show. Glad you could be with us today. And I just want to give a shout out. My man Randy Gordon used to be a commissioner for New York State Boxing Commission. And he's currently working with my friend Jerry Cooney. They do a radio show on Sirius. And he's involved with a heavyweight fighter that made his pro debut yesterday. And I want to congratulate my man Randy and his fighter, Mike Coffey, for making his pro debut and picking up a first-round knockout. So keep an eye on Mike Coffey in the heavyweight division. Joining us right now, speaking of commissioners, and a guy that Randy just said was the best referee ever, my man Larry Hazzard. Good morning, Larry.
Hey, Billy. How you doing?
Not too
Happy
bad.
Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Same to you, my friend. Same to you. And being Italian, we start fasting. I started fasting, last week because we're a bunch of pigs. We start eating as soon as the crows wake up tomorrow morning and the the roosters are crowing. We start stuffing our faces, so we're ready to roll here. But I appreciate that, and I hope I wish you guys the best too, your family and friends and everybody you're going to be spending your Thanksgiving with. Larry, I wanted to ask you, before I get into some topics that we've been talking about this week, I wanted to get your thoughts on some fights from last weekend. First and foremost, former world champion Carl Frampton, who had a couple of really good, entertaining fights with Leo Santa Cruz, came back and beat Horatio Garcia in Ireland. He struggled a bit in that fight, and many people are thinking that he's not going to get back to that level when he faced Leo Santa Cruz. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think that he's going to be able to do it, or what?
Well, if they, it's hard to say nowadays, Billy, with these fighters. Look at the high hopes we had for Chocolatito, and look what happened to him. It goes both ways. I mean, you can have a guy who's riding high, and all of a sudden he goes all the way to the bottom, and you can have a guy who has a setback, and he can come back and, go above and beyond even the levels that we would have expected. I think he has an opportunity, and I think that there's a possibility that he can. It all depends on how they move him, who they put him against, with the opposition, and if they bring him back slow enough, but not too slow, I think that he could get back. So it's always a toss-up with these fighters today, but I think that he has a good opportunity and a good chance of reclaiming some of that old glory that he once had. So I'm always positive in that respect. Just depends on how they move him, how they bring him back. Don't bring him back too fast,
I think that his fans have been a little hard on him, but it's hard to go from being a top fighter in a sense, champion to trying to climb back up the ladder. And mentally, a lot of people that never fought before don't understand the mental part. You're not only fighting a guy in the ring in front of you, but you're also fighting the mental questions that you've created for yourself. Am I that good? What happened? I thought I was better than that. Am I going to falter here? If I lose this one, it's over. I mean, all of this is going through their head, whether they tell you it is or not. I mean, that's a fact, right?
Absolutely. And, like I said, what's important is that they don't throw him. See, a lot of times the expectation level is a little bit too high. Bring him back to mid-range. Don't throw him too fast up to that top level. Because you see what happens. What makes the fans hard on him is that the fans are living in the past. They expect to see the same fighter that they, saw and had hoped for, before he lost, before he started to descend. So, they have to be a little bit more patient. They have to understand, like what you said, that he's not only fighting the opponent, he's also fighting himself. So he's fighting actually two opponents coming back. One is in his head, and the other is right in front of him each time he gets in the ring. So, you have to give him these confidence builder fights. You have to, constantly be programming him outside of the ring in a positive way that he can get back there. And then you have to hope for the best and see what happens. See? So I think that, it's all in the engineering of how they bring him back. But I do think that Frampton is the type of fighter that does have that potential, and I think that he can make it back. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and the guy you're fighting in your head is always the toughest of all. I'll tell you that. But
absolutely.
One other fight I just wanted to ask you about that took place over the weekend, and it's really about the fighter, not the fight. But Tomasz Adamek, I know he fought in Jersey a bunch of times.
Bunch of times.
You know, I mean, this guy was a light heavyweight champion and, tried to become a heavyweight champ. And personally, I think that, he's seen better days. And he fought who they bill as Big Fred Cassie, who's not that big. I mean, for a heavyweight, he's just not that big compared to these monsters who are in the division. And for all intent purposes, he kind of struggled with that. I know he's a big draw in Poland, but don't you think somebody should be telling Tomasz Adamek it's time to hang him up? I mean, you would have to assume that, he's financially secure. I mean, the guy was in some big fights. You would have to assume. I mean, I don't know for a fact, but it's hard for these guys to say it's over mentally. But don't you think it's time for Adamek?
Oh, I thought it was time for Adamek. I went to Poland, and I saw him against the other big name, Andrew Galata. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
I thought I was there in Poland. Oh, thousands of people came out to see both of them, and at that time, Adamek was still, kind of riding the wave. But at that point, I thought that he had seen his better days. He struggled against Galata. I happen to think that Adamek has seen his better days. I think that if there is a signature fighter for Kathy Duva and Main Event, the job that they did with Adamek, I think, is a lot to their credit. They got him to the level, the greatest level in accordance with his abilities. I think that they made him some nice paydays. He got some, nice visibility. People got to know who he was. He fought in Jersey quite a bit, especially at the Prudential Center. He had a great following there, and I think they took him as far as he could go, and they could be pleased with what they did with him. But I think it's time for him to hang him up, and he, like many fighters, takes a long time for them to see that picture. But I just hope that he doesn't get hurt or get seriously injured, along the way. But I think it's time for somebody to tell him, look, you had your better days. He's got a family. He's got a kid now. And hopefully he's financially secure. He should be. And, hang him up. If you want to stay in the game, go find you a young kid, a prospect, maybe become a trainer or an advisor or something of that nature. There are other aspects to the sport other than climbing through there as a competitor. And I think that some of these guys, like Adamek, should explore some of those avenues. So I'm like you, I agree. I think he's had it, and he should hang him up.
Yeah, and you just said something that's so true. This is the problem with the sport today. Most fighters, and it's a catch-22 because I can't fault them, but most fighters make their money, they cash out, and they ride off into the sunset. And the problem with that for the sport, not for their own, personal reasons, which I'm not going to criticize, because if you could be financially set and go live your life, and even if it's incognito, so to speak, I have no problem with that. But years gone by, that's exactly the path most fighters took. They would fight their career and then stay in the sport, and that's what the sport really needs. You need these kinds of guys that have been in the trenches and know the sport, the good and the bad of the sport, and try to bring up someone else and try to steer them away from the pitfalls and do the positive thing, and the success will come. You still get that juice, you still get that feeling of being involved in the sport, and that's what we need. What we have too much of is these guys that are rah-rah men. We've talked about that many times, and unfortunately all they need to do is pay the seconds fee, and poof, they're a trainer, and I have a problem with that. And so I agree with you 100%. Hey, not to sound sexist or anything, I know some people are going to criticize me, but I'll tell you something. Watching Adamek in Jersey, because we got to see a lot of those fights, especially like you mentioned at the Prudential Center on TV. I never realized, and I don't want people to beat me up too much in this, but I got to be honest with you, Larry. I never realized how good looking those Polish women are, because they came out in droves for him. I was like, oh my God, I always pictured, Polish women not looking quite the way they do these days. That's for sure. I just had to throw that in, because that's one thing I just, when I watched him fight, especially in Jersey, because that's where I saw most of his fights. Oh man, I was like, oh, what a crowd! What a crowd! I wish I was there,
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to talk about. We've been talking a lot about Anthony Joshua, and Anthony Joshua is, in my opinion, the best heavyweight, and we have some dance partners for him that we all want to see. And the guy that comes to everyone's lips first is, of course, Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder brings something to the table. He's not as popular as AJ outside the U.S., but Deontay has 39-0, 38 knockouts. He's powerful. He's loud. He's boisterous. People know he's in the room when he's in the room. He says a lot of things, and he has the WBC belt, which many regard as one of the top belts to have. So aside from that fight, and we all know that it's going to happen eventually, the other guy that has the last belt that AJ does not have is Joseph Parker. And Joseph Parker's team has been trying to use the media to get this fight, to land a fight with Anthony Joshua next. And they come out early in the week and they said, we got an offer, allegedly got an offer from AJ's team, and it's a disgrace. It's the worst offer ever in the sport of boxing. And then they come back and they say, well, we were looking for a 50-50 split. And I'm saying to myself, 50-50 split of what? And they said, we're not going to accept a penny less, right? Then they come out the next day. Well, we decided we would take 40%, but not a penny less. And yesterday they came out and said, of course, they'll take 35%. And I'm saying to myself, first of all, and they define that they want a 35% split of the gross net profits. Now, this is a guy, AJ, who can make $20 million fighting Carlos Takam in England. I mean, why would they want to split that? My question to you, Larry, is Joseph Parker is virtually unknown outside of the land down under. And I'm talking in Europe and here in the States and everything. Don't you think his camp should focus on a fixed amount, whether it be $3 million, $5 million, $10 million, whatever, and try to negotiate that? Otherwise, quite honestly, AJ doesn't need Joseph Parker. AJ could fight me or you and make $20 million. What does he need Joseph Parker for? What's your thoughts?
Well, that's the problem. See, that's the problem for a lot of these guys that really don't understand the business of the sport, and the guys who are making these demands. Who? His trainer, him, some other guy that's hanging around the gym. This is making him think that he's bigger than he is. And just like you said, if a good businessman would tell him, look, everything that you're saying, Billy, this guy really doesn't need us, okay? So you're making these big demands. You're asking for this enormous split. They would be nuts to give it to us. Why don't we just focus on trying to get a fixed amount of money, that we could be satisfied with, even to the extent that this would possibly make him financially secure. You're talking about Joshua fighting where you have 70, 80, 90,000 people in the arena, millions of dollars, okay, that's going to come in from that. So, instead of them being smart and saying, hey, look, let's just tell this guy, we want 15 or 20 million or 10, 15 million, and we'll be satisfied, and we'll get the fight, and hopefully we can win the title, and it's done. Okay? No, they're gonna use these neophytes who's gonna be out there with the big mouths. We want this. We won't settle for less than this and that. And they're going to end up getting nothing, okay, because Joshua he really doesn't need Parker or any of those others. The only one that Joshua, in my opinion, and I use the word need in quotes, okay, in terms of a fight, is Deontay Wilder. That's the only one who could actually, legitimately come in and make demands. There's no other heavyweights out there that could do that,
nope.
you know. No. So what these guys need to do, specifically Parker, he needs to have some of these guys who are running their mouths, you know, making these demands, just simply shut up, okay, let's go, let's see if we could get, if we can get 20 million, if we can get 10 million, I'll fight them. Okay, and we'll walk away.
They're not even going to
and I could beat it.
But they're not even going to get that. Listen, Joseph Parker.
That's the way I see that.
No, I agree with you. Joseph Parker, really, the only thing that he could do is if the WBO title, and nobody cares about him, and everybody's talking Triple G, everybody's talking Danny Jacobs, everybody's talking Canelo. You got all these other dance partners. Now, finally, you get a rematch with Canelo and Triple G. The only value for Billy Joe Saunders at that point is to fight the winner, because if they want all the belts, he's the last guy. There he creates value. Now, I applaud Billy Joe Saunders for fighting David Lemieux in between. You know, so he's getting a payday there, and he'll be in a much better driver's seat. That's what Joseph Parker needs to do. He needs to go and get another one of those names, the Luis Ortiz or Dillian White or somebody that's on the cusp, you know, Povetkin, somebody like that, and get a win, and then he's got some bargaining chip. Or just wait until the winner of Deontay Wilder and AJ rises, and then that fighter is going to want that last belt, you know. And as far as Deontay is concerned, they were offered, just so you know the money, allegedly, they were offered $7 million plus all the U.S. television rights, and so far they've turned it down, which I think is foolish, because the most Deontay hasn't made $2 million yet, you know. So I mean, that's to go fight in England, that's a big money fight for Deontay, and he's in a win-win situation. Even, you know, that's the other part of this scenario, Larry. Both of these guys, you know, any of these heavyweights goes and fights each other and loses, that's not the end of the world. I mean, all they got to do is fight one or two more fights, and they're back for a rematch. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't know. I don't get why the sport is making it like it's a winner take all, and that's the end of your career type of a thing, and that's a problem in itself, don't you think?
Well, we've been talking about that for how long, Billy?
Right.
You know, this whole if I lose one syndrome, my career is over. You know, it's hard to dispel that. You know, that's still very prominent in our sport. That's why, you know, finally we got, I would say, we made some progress in that area, because at one point we weren't seeing any real quality fights take place. So, you know, the demand for the best fighting the best, you know, seems to have grown and seems to have made an impact. You know, so these guys are willing now to go out and fight the best fighter and perhaps gamble with a loss, not feeling, especially if they put in a good performance, that they come back. You know, look at a kid like Sean Porter, who goes in and fights. He's still there. He's still there. Win or lose, he's still there. He fights the top guy. He loses. He still comes right back. A few fights later, he's right back. You know, see until that catches hold, and that's old school boxing, you know. And here I go again, going back decades. This is the way it was. This is what made the sport of boxing. This is how we got to know the names of a lot of these guys, not because they won every fight, but because they fought everybody and they performed well and they came right back.
Right.
You know, and their names became household items. It didn't decrease their value. It increased their value.
Exactly.
And that's the same thing that we need to see happen here, you know, in modern day boxing. I think in yesteryear boxing,
the fighters, although they did it for a living, I mean, it was a trade. I know money was important, but they also had the desire to be to find a place in history, in a historical fight, and they valued that. And it seems today that part of the equation isn't in it, because in order to be great, you need to dance. But we say this all the time. Muhammad Ali, would he have been as great as we look at him if he didn't have Joe Frazier, Kenny Norton, George Foreman, et cetera, et cetera?
I have no doubt that he would not have.
Exactly.
No doubt.
Because those are the chances that the fighters get to perform that go down in everybody's memory and lives forever. So I don't know. One last thing I want to ask you. Errol Spence, a lot of us feel that Errol Spence is the future of the welterweight division. And it's a tough division. There's no question about it. As far as showdowns, a lot of people talking about Errol Spence and Keith Thurman eventually. But the truth of the matter is Keith Thurman has been around a little longer. He's got a much more impressive resume as a professional. And Errol Spence is a quality fighter. We all can see the talent that he possesses, but he really hasn't performed in the ring with top-level opposition as of yet. Now, he steps in the ring in January, and he fights Spence-Peterson, who I think is grossly underrated for whatever reason. My question to you is, he's fighting in Brooklyn, and Errol Spence is, and he's not from Brooklyn, and it is on Showtime, and the diehard boxing fans all know him. My question is, do you think he's going to do well with ticket sales? And how important will that fight be to Errol Spence's future and his bargaining power if he doesn't draw well in that fight? What's your thoughts?
Well, Peterson is not from Brooklyn either, So, actually, I have to agree with you that there is a chance that it's going to perhaps impact on him if he doesn't draw well. But you know what's happening? The Barclays Center is actually the draw itself. It's becoming, the Barclays Center is establishing himself as a trade, a name. It seems like it's in competition, or has been in competition, with Madison Square Garden. So now, just as years ago, a fighter's dream was to fight at the Garden. If you get to the Garden, it was almost like you've made it in your career. Well, I see that model being used for the Barclays Center now. So I think that just for a fight to be taking place, a high-profile fight to be taking place at the Barclays Center, now is getting to the point where any fighter who fights there in a main event will probably draw well. Not so much because of who he is, but more because of where he is fighting. That seems to be the direction, for lack of a better way of putting it, for fighters fighting at the Barclays Center now. It's like fighting at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. You draw well because that's where you're fighting. I think that's becoming more and more an element now in these bouts that are taking place there. Errol Spence is a well-known fighter. That we can't argue. And I think that to bring him to Brooklyn, to the Barclays Center, I think it's going to help his career. Now, I think that will help him, and I think he will still draw decent there. Maybe he certainly won't draw like a Daniel Jacobs or some of the local guys that that are from that area or from New York or nearby. But I think he will draw well, just because of who he is.
I think that's a great point about that you made about Barclays Center, and I agree. I think, and what that actually does for boxing is for all those fans that want to be part of the event and not knowing who the participants are. I mean, as far as Peterson, I mean, he's from D.C., so I wouldn't be surprised if people make that trek from D.C. to New York. But I agree with you that the fans that just go to the events will learn something. They'll be introduced to Errol Spence. So I agree. That's a great point. And honestly, I didn't look at it that way. So I think that was a great point. But, Larry, I appreciate your time today, as usual. And like we said in the beginning, I hope you and your family have a great Thanksgiving. And we got some fights this weekend, so we'll have some stuff to talk about next week, my man.
Okay, Billy.
All right, brother. You have a good one, all right?
Okay, thank you.
All right, take care. That's my man, Larry Hazzard. And made a great point about the Barclays Center. It's that flew right over. Larry, that's why we like him. He educates me, and I need that. And that's a great point that he made. I was stumbling and bumbling on the fact that Errol Spence really isn't known. Could he not draw? And Larry made a great point that it's the venue that's doing the drawing. And he's right. I agree. Hey, listen, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, Alex Pierpaoli will be with us. And we will be doing our blast from the past, Tony the Tiger Lopez. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
If you're over the age of 50 and considering buying an annuity in the next 60 days, I have some important news for you. Don't buy an annuity until you understand the pros and cons of annuities. A free book to help you maximize your retirement income from television host and 3-time author Josh Melberg has been released. This book reveals little-known truths about annuity strategies in simple-to-understand terms. Grab a pen right now because we are about to offer you this free book that unlocks the 5 little-known secrets we believe baby boomers and seniors should know before buying an annuity. Call 800-493-9652 now, and you'll receive a free copy of Josh Melberg's book, Next Gen Annuity Strategies Revealed. As a bonus, we'll also send you the #1 mistakes retirees are making with their investments today, and a free DVD on how you can get up to 33% more income in retirement. Call 800-493-9652 to have your free information kit rushed to your door. Again, that's 800-493-9652.
Broken air conditioning, $4,400. Failing refrigerator, $2,500. Don't let outrageous repair and replacement bills like these bust your budget. Get the First American Home Warranty Plan. And when a covered appliance or system breaks, we'll repair it or replace it for you.
We had a high-end dishwasher go kaput. They put it in a brand new dishwasher.
We have plans that cover air conditioning, most appliances, plus heating, plumbing, electrical systems, and much more. Plans start as low as $25 a month. Why let a major appliance or system breakdown bust your budget or go through the hassle of finding trustworthy service people? Last year alone, we saved our customers over $120 million. Don't wait until something breaks and you're stuck with a huge bill.
You save a lot of money. It's absolutely worth it.
If you don't have First American Warranty, get it.
Call 1-800-946-6234 for your free no-obligation quote.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks, like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts! Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And it's that time again for the Blast from the Past. And this week's Blast from the Past is being brought to us in part by KOFantasyBoxing.com. Check out the website, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Sign up today. And the Title Bout Championship computer game. You can download yourself a copy right now by visiting our website, BillyCBoxing.com, and clicking on the Title Bout Championship computer game banner, which is on the right-hand side. And joining us to tell us all about this week's Blast from the Past, who was a request from one of our viewers and listeners, Tony the Tiger Lopez. Alex Pierpaoli's with us right now. Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Billy C. How are you?
Oh, gosh. You sounded and looking spiffy today, man. It looks good and sounds good, man. I like it.
Got my reading glasses on.
Oh, it happens to the best of us, my man. But I can't do the bifocal thing. So
me neither.
So I have a pocket full of glass. I actually have a weird thing going on with my eyes that I have another script for when I'm looking at the computer. So I have a pair of computer glasses, reading glasses, and glasses to see if I really want to see. Other than that, I know where everything's supposed to be. So just shadows are good. Shadows.
Do they make trifocals?
I don't know, but bifocals. I think they do make trifocals, but
wow.
The bifocals.
There's a Rodney Dangerfield joke in there somewhere, I think.
Well, isn't that a trisexual? I'll try anything.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
but anyway, Tony, we better get to the topic. Tony the Tiger.
Nowadays, who knows?
I'll tell you. But Tony the Tiger Lopez, former champion. This guy's an interesting guy, and we've had him on the show here a couple of times, and he's such a nice guy, and he's successful too. We'll get to later after boxing. But tell us about Tony the Tiger.
Yeah, Tony the Tiger Lopez. This is a guy who I guess there must have been a period where he must have gone to Canastota quite a bit, maybe. But I don't think I've seen him there in the times I've been there. But no, he is not in Canastota, but I do believe he is in the World Boxing Hall of Fame out in on the West Coast. Tony the Tiger Lopez, born in Sacramento, California, born May 3rd, 1983, and that's where he became Sacramento's favorite son, capital California. I found a couple of decent articles about him. One really good piece in Ibro by our friend of the show, Austin Killeen, and then another by an interview in the Ring by Ryan Songalia, The Best I've Faced, which is an interesting take. They give like the best puncher or best boxer or that kind of thing. So we'll get to that. Best chin, things like that. But yeah, he got into boxing largely because his father was a former pro and his older brother Sal was into boxing. And then Austin Killeen talks about how it sort of interrupted a street fight. He was planning to go fight this kid in the street when he was young, and when he was just 10, and it just happened at that period. His older brother was on the way to the gym, being driven by the trainer, Jerry Jacobs, and they said, you're going to fight in the street, why don't you come with us to the gym? And he did, and they, boom, started up. Pretty soon he got in on a within a couple of months he got in on a Junior Olympics card when he filled in for a member of the team who was sick, and he won his the rest was history. He went. I saw where it's out of something like that, because the other thing where he over hundreds of fights, but like I said, only for his amateur record before turning pro was number 4th nationally. So definitely for a really good pro banger, a slugger. Even he does talk about it's all about head movement and
what I always. And then when you look at his career, undeniable where he fit. Rocky Lockridge's and John Molina, a tough fighter, and Theo Billa or Horse. I mean, and he fought most of these guys. And like you said,
but the world is different now. There's a lot more options for so it's not like there was 3 channels and boxing. This was the off.
Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're watching and listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you're with us today, and back with us is my man Sal Rocky Cenicola. And yes, I saw your bifocals. But we got a bunch of I got some emails I want to try and blow through here, Sal, so we can get this done. First and foremost, we have some other scores for you real quick. In college football last night, there were 3 games. Akron beat Kent State 24-14. Eastern Michigan squeaked out a win over Bowling Green 34-31. And Miami of Ohio beat up on Ball State 28-7. There was one game in the NBA, and the Lakers beat the Bulls 103-94. And in the National Hockey League, we had the Canucks beating the Flyers 5-2, the Blues over the Oilers 8-3, and the Stars over the Canucks. Stars over the Canadians 3-1. I got the first email. This is from my man Jesse. He says, "Hey, Billy C and Sal, I think Mikey is correct in taking the Showtime offer since the money is more. Easter is a champion, and Linares hasn't really fought anybody. Now that Crawford is gone from junior welterweight, Mikey can become the man in that division. All the other guys are just learning to go to the top and stay at the top, like Lipinets, Bartholomew, etc. Mikey is light years ahead of all of them, and Linares maybe should go after Fortuna, Verdejo, Rel Beltran, etc., and maybe next summer Linares against Mikey." He also says, "Can you put Tony Lopez in with Loma, Chenko, Rigondeaux, Linares, Jesse Mag, etc.?" Just so you know, Alex puts him in with current world champions. We did get Lopez in with Lomachenko. As far as this, I totally disagree. First of all, Linares is an accomplished champion. He had a bad stretch there a little bit, but he got back up on the horse. I don't agree with the fact that the fans, and in this case Jesse, accepts that the fighter takes the easiest route. I will agree with Mikey Garcia, Sal, that you take the most money for the least risk, but at some point in time, it becomes more than money. It becomes legacy type. And, you don't want to go down in history as being remembered for just taking the best paydays. That's what's going to happen to Floyd, guaranteed. And Mikey Garcia is a much better fighter, I think, and he's more exciting. And, although I can't disagree with getting the most money for the least risk, I think Linares would have been a more attractive fight. What's your quick thoughts?
Well, I kind of hinted yesterday, Bill, that I think Mikey Garcia, I'll give him a pass on this to take this fight at this time. I think he can afford it, and it's going to be a good-sized purse for the amount of risk he's going to expose himself to or subject himself to. And I think the Linares fight's around the corner whenever they want it anyway. So I don't really want to be so critical on Mikey Garcia trying to maximize what he can do right now and be showcased, if you will, and it may help his marketing value in the future for Linares or for anybody else in that top level.
Right. No, that's a good point. My man Mitch says, "Hey, Billy C, how dare you question the how dare you ask the question yesterday if Saddam Ali has a shot at beating Miguel Cotto? Does he have a shot? Yes, you should be asking if Cotto has a shot. Saddam Ali has future Hall of Famer trainer Andre Rozier in his corner. That should tell you all you need to know. He's coming to win. Saddam Ali knockout in 4. Obviously, He's kidding. No, he's kidding. He knows I think Andre Rozier is awful as a trainer. He's just lucky to have a quality fighter and Daniel Jacobs to put him on the map. Thanks for the comic relief, my man Mitch. And finally, one more email. This is from our friend Raheem. Haven't heard from Raheem.
All right, Raheem.
He says, "Hey, Billy C and Sal, it's me, Raheem." Hey, Raheem. He says, "I would like your opinion on college football versus the NFL. This year, for me, my Bears had a shot at the playoffs, but it looks like it's not going to happen. Other than my Bears, I would rather watch college football, especially after all of the negative things that have happened in the NFL. My family is from Ghana, and we love the USA and our Bears. It just seems college football to me is getting better and funner to watch. I think that Alabama is good enough to beat a lot of pro teams. If Alabama played the Jets in a neutral field, I think Alabama who averages 1 loss a year, can beat the Jets or even the Giants. That's your team and Sal's, respectively. I want to get your thoughts. If Bama played the Jets or Giants, who wins? First and foremost, I'll tell you this. College football is 10 times more entertaining than the NFL, especially today. I love college football, and the older I get, the more I like it, and the reason is because of the entertainment factor. Not everything is a gimme. A chip shot field goal isn't always a chip shot field goal. They go for 4th downs. You have a lot of emotions in the games. The fans are into it. The kids, I love it, okay? The NFL has gotten to be too much for me. Putting aside the disrespect for the national anthem, these players are, in my opinion, paid a lot of money. It's all about them. They don't care about the team. They don't care about the fans. And the other issue that I have is all the celebrations. And I'm not talking about a touchdown celebration. I think playing Duck, Duck, Goose and Leapfrog and all these other things that they do is a little over the top. But they celebrate after getting a first down. They celebrate after making a catch. They celebrate after making a tackle. You know, this is stuff that they're supposed to be doing. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't cause for a celebration. It's a joke. That's what I like about college. Now, the issue about Alabama. Now, I am an Alabama fan. There's no question about it. I have 3. I like a lot of college teams, but my top 3 college teams, Alabama, number 1, Boise State, number 2, and Georgia Bulldogs, number 3. The truth of the matter is as much as I would like to say that Alabama is good enough to beat the Jets or Giants or any other crappy team, that's not the case. The truth of the matter is Alabama, as dominating as they are, you could take even Alabama, a top team like them, maybe 5 or 6 of those players will get drafted into the NFL at some point. Whether they stay in the NFL or not, who knows? But think of that. When you got an NFL team, even guys sitting on the bench that could be starters for a college team, a good college team like Alabama or Georgia. So no, unfortunately, the college teams will never beat an NFL team. Last year, as a matter of fact, they had a lot of discussion about that. The Cleveland Browns against Alabama, they had a fantasy line, and the Cleveland Browns were favored by double digits. So as much as I love Alabama, as much as I love college football, you put that team in with an NFL team, and they do not win. What's your thoughts, Sal?
I agree with you there. I mean, you're talking about, first of all, college players, they're usually under 22 years of age. And physiologically, I can tell you right now, we know it in fighters, we know it in athletes. You mature as an adult, when you're 28, when you're 30, when you get the beef, you get the plus who knows if they're doing any juice in the NFL. I don't know. I'm not saying they do, but the bottom line is these guys are bigger, stronger, and they are playing for the bucks and their market value. I think they have some incentives, and what I do love about the enthusiasm of the college ball games is that they are playing for their school. They are playing to get picked up in the NFL and everything else. So there is passion, there is drive, there is humbleness, and so there is definitely 2 different sets of mindsets and everything else. But I think it would be very hard for a top college team to beat even a mediocre professional team.
Even a terrible professional team like the Browns or
I
the
was gonna
Giants.
say that.
Even an awful, terrible team like the Browns or the Giants. But
it's not like Rigondeaux. It's not like Rigondeaux in a amateur career coming into the ring on a pro debut or fighting a pro.
No. But anyway. All right.
Good point, though.
No, it was. I also thought Larry made a great point earlier about the Barclays Center. That's a good one. Unfortunately,
well, it is. I mean, definitely. I mean, people get in the habit. Fight fans are fight fans. And let's face it. I mean, I could give you stories. I mean, Ice World in Totowa, New Jersey, which was a breeding ground for some future Hall of Famers and world champions. It was great. People look forward to it. There was a fight announced at the Ice World. Bam! It was sold out.
I know, but the difference is back then most of those fights were local fighters, so it was local audience. I think he hit on a point about the Barclays Center, and quite honestly, the Barclays Center has marketed themselves to be the place to go to watch fights, and I think he was right by saying, hey, you got these sports fans, generic sports fans that say, hey, there's a boxing match over at the Barclays Center, let's go. They don't even know who's fighting, but they're going to go. I think
that's what I was trying to lead to, Bill. Exactly. Even though they were breeding local talent at Ice World, the bottom line is people loved the venue because it was so convenient. It was easy to access, and it was predictable. You had a great night of exposing some great fights and having the close ride home, and everybody came in to have a good time, and that was it. So yes, I share, and I definitely agree with
I had a couple of my fighters fight there. It was a great venue, and especially the way it's laid out. You got other events going on. You have the place where they had the fights, and you always had. I know there was some a lot of fan favorites, but like Mickey Ward, not Mickey Ward, but what's his name that he fought? Who's I'm drawing a blank here. I'm looking at his picture right here. Not Joey Gamache. Who's the guy that his wife killed?
That's Tony. He went to prison.
No, he did not go to prison.
No, you're talking about Gatti.
Yeah, Arturo Gatti. Thank you. I'm sitting here looking at the picture that Mickey Ward gave me himself, and Arturo Gatti used to be there all the time. As watching fights and stuff, people would go up to him all the time. But anyway, we
blacked out my sound.
No, you did, and I saw that. We have a winner. We have a winner.
We have a winner.
The question was, I am in the International Boxing Hall of Fame, and I once lost 4 consecutive fights against 2 brothers. Who am I? I gave a hint yesterday. I said his fighting name began, and his first and last name of his fighting name had the same letter. And my man, Coach came through. He knew that the answer is Battling Battano. And battling Battalino. And Battalino lost 2 fights against Billy Pierpaoli, and then his next 2 against his brother, Frankie. So he lost 4 fights against the Pierpaoli brothers. So congratulations to Coach. I sent him a copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. And I got another one here that I let you guys work on for Thanksgiving weekend. And here's the question. Name the boxer who fought the most fights from the start of his career before being defeated by a stoppage. Name the fighter who fought the most fights from the start of his career before being defeated by a stoppage. And not only do I want the fighter, I want the number of fights that he had before being stopped. If you're the first one to answer this question correctly by emailing me, Billy@TalkinBoxing, that's TalkinBoxing.com, you'll win your copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. Sal, you want to give it a shot?
I was going to say Jack Dempsey.
No. It's not Jack Dempsey.
Okay. Julio Cesar Chavez.
No. How many guests is he going to have? You get one a show, all right?
So next
week, if nobody gets it right, you'll get another shot, okay? So calm down, kids. One more time. Name the boxer who fought the most fights from the start of his career before being defeated by a stoppage. If you're the first one to email me the correct answer, Billy@TalkinBoxing, that's TalkinBoxing.com, you'll win the prize. Good luck to everybody on that. Hey, listen, as a programming note, you guys know we won't be back till Monday due to the Thanksgiving holiday, and I want to express from myself and everybody involved with the Billy C brand, we would like to wish all of you a very happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy filling your faces and stuffing yourself with your friends and family. And we certainly look forward to you when we come back. And we apologize today for some of the technical problems we had with the stream. But, hey, we got it done, and it's over. So, anyway, hey, listen, happy Thanksgiving. Make sure you tune in Monday morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I'll leave you with this. Ciao, baby.